Thinking workshop hosted by Innovation Cell Raipur. Disha Kaushal ma'am will take over now.
Hello and good evening, all of you. I hope you're nice and fresh. Uh, Yesterday, we discussed about the second stage of the five-step design thinking framework. Day one, we spoke about empathy. Day two, we spoke about defining how we can define or rather redefine our problem and come to something that we call as a problem statement. It can also be called as a point of view statement because you're selecting a point of view or a small subset of the problem from the bigger problem or the challenge, so to say. And from there, you move on to your problem statement or how might we statement. I had introduced the format also to you guys. Now, I'll just a second. Yes. So we had spoken about this template, so to say, that the first blank calls for a user needs a way to. Here you put an actionable verb or the kind of qualities that you want from your solution, desired solution. Because here will come your surprise insight. This is what we had spoken about yesterday. Now, today is the most exciting, or students find it the most exciting rather day or part of the challenge, this entire design thinking workshop, where we get into the ideation mode. And I've seen as young minds and how we are engineered as humans, we tend to immediately start thinking about solutions, which is good and also not so good because we need to spend more and more time with the problem, trying to demystify it, break it down into smaller pieces, so that we can truly focus on the part that you want to rectify. So your problem statement is the part that will define what you want to work with or ideate upon further. And then we come to the stage called ideation. Now, in ideation, there are some ground rules that when you ideate, always, always, always ideate in a group. In my personal experience, a group of maximum 6 to 7 people, that's the upper limit. Not less than 3 people and not more than 7 people works really well for ideation. I'll tell you why, because in larger groups, what happens is that usually a few people don't contribute at all, and there are just a selected number of people who go on repeating, or contributing more frequently. In a much smaller group, you will come to a cap, or your threshold for getting exhausted with ideas will come sooner, and you will not be able to utilize this process of ideation fully. So first is that you select the right group size. Second, your group should have more and more diversity. When I say diversity, it means that it should be as diverse as it is possible. If there are boys and girls, try to maintain a healthy balance, whatever is available. Engineering colleges typically used to, at least 10 years back, have lesser girls. Now I don't think they're as less in number, but try to maintain a healthy mix, which is reflective of the kind of demographic that you have. If you have transgenders or others in your college, try to include their voice also. I'll tell you why this is important, because the more diverse inputs that you get, the more there are chances of your idea being appreciated or understood by a larger group. So include people from different backgrounds, from different walks of life. If there is there are only boys, at least make sure that they are from different departments or different geographies. Their place of origin is different. Not that people from the north club together, people from southern India get from another huddle, Gujaratis are another corner. Please don't do that. Because if you work like that, you will never be able to have at least a pan Asia or pan India solution. So it is important to bring diversity in a group for ideation. The more diverse the group, the richer your content is going to be. Thirdly, go for quantity. There are 5 types of ideation techniques that I will discuss with you. In each ideation technique, you need to give your group 5 minutes, and in those 5 minutes, you have to come up with at least 5 different ideas. And 5 is the lower limit. I have seen most groups come up with as many as 10 to 15 ideas in that short span of 5 minutes. You may think that it is very difficult or seemingly impossible, but it is not. When people get together, rake their brains together, such miracles do happen. And by the time you finish your 25 minutes, which is your 5 rounds of ideation, different techniques, you have a big cluster of at least 50 to 70 ideas that you're sitting on. Then it is very easy to sift and make bundles or seemingly similar ideas you can put together. Say, for example, some ideas are relating to technological solutions, then you put all of them together. If some ideas are very low cost or don't require too much expenditure, then you put those ideas together. If there is some ideas which don't require a technical solution, but rather more, they're very practical and very easy to replicate immediately, then put them together. You might have another bucket of ideas which are completely bizarre and very outlandish, and you might in the beginning question the feasibility of those ideas, but keep them. At least at this stage, you have to give all ideas equal importance. This is because everybody's voice must be heard, and until and unless a solution has been tested in water, like you prototype it and take it to the user and the user approves, till then each idea has equal value. However bizarre or however stupid it may seem in your head, till that point all the ideas need to have equal value. And it is okay to build air castles even if you think that the idea is not scalable, as in the case of Airbnb, which we discussed yesterday, if you remember. Keep it. We will test the feasibility and the doability of any idea in the next round when we get to the prototyping stage. Excuse me. So these are the rules, and let everybody speak. In group dynamics, it often happens that one or two people can tend to overpower the other person. But in order to make this process more democratic, what you should do is whenever you're sitting down for a round of ideation, keep a pack of post-its ready with you. On each post-it, write down one idea. Write in capital letters so that later when you have to look at it, you can make sense of it. Write in fewer words. The second point is write in fewer words so that you can read it easily, even from a distance. Write clearly in, as I said, capital letters, and only one idea on one sticky note, so that if you want to pick them up and regroup, it is easy for you to be able to do that. So these are some sticky note rules. And when you're writing in this manner, it also ensures that nobody's voice or opinion or ideas are being left out. Okay, so these are sticky note rules, and we specified some other rules for ideation, that a larger group, a more diverse group, defer judgment. It's okay to build air castles. All ideas have equal value until and unless they are tested. Okay, fine. So then you get on to your ideation process. One second. So the first ideation technique is normal ideation, in which we give you 5 minutes and you have to go for quantity, defer judgment, and create your ideas. Now, how to ideate is a very interesting exercise. I will share this brainstorming video with you, which is from IDEO. It's a pioneer design thinking firm.
All right, team. Thanks for coming for a brainstorm today. We have a really interesting topic. The local zoo, the visitors are down 20%. So how might we boost the number of visitors?
Okay, if you can see, they have used a how might we statement as a problem statement. All right. You can use this format also. You can use a problem statement or PAV format also. If you notice, everybody on this table is using a sticky notes pad with them and peeling out one strip one by one and writing on it. So have a look.
This is a serious problem for them. They want to stay open. They need more funding, all this kind of good stuff. So let's spend a few moments now first and get a few ideas down. Remember, we're going for quantity. Let's see how many ideas we can get. And also, there's so many good ideas out there.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt, but the
All right, team. Thanks for coming for a brainstorm today. We have a really interesting topic. The local zoo, the visitors are down 20%. So how might we boost the number of visitors to the zoo? This is a serious problem for them. They want to stay open. They need more funding, all this kind of good stuff. So let's spend a few moments now first and get a few ideas down. Remember, we're going for quantity. Let's see how many ideas we can get. And also, there's so many good ideas out there. Let's push ourselves, try to get closer to the ridiculous. That might be brilliant. All right, so I'll start us off. I had a date night. So, and you might hang out with the animals that are in action, if you know what I mean. All right, what else you got? Oh, yeah. What do you got?
What if we do like dress up like your favorite animal day? So it's like a costume thing.
Very cool.
What about zoo pop-up at places that kids frequent, the mall, school, parks? Home Depot, I know, has programs for little kids to build, like, birdhouses and stuff like that. So it could be all these different crafts, but they're sort of animal lessons, so kids learn.
I have a night camping, so you get to camp overnight there. So let's get 5 or 10 more.
So I figure loyalty cards work for airlines and for burritos, so why not make it work for the zoo?
Building up the whole celebrity thing, what if like we pretend that animals are celebrities and we give out like a gossip magazine as an advertisement?
So for an hour every day, they vacate the cages, and you get to go swing on the bars and everything that the monkeys. Zoo turn playground.
That's awesome.
What we'll do next is we'll look at these and look for some themes and cluster a couple. And then I think we should even prototype 1 or 2 of these and then take them over to the zoo. It's going to be great.
All right. So if you see, a lot of them have tried to add visual elements or some kind of illustrations, because these things not only make the idea more attractive, but it's, fires up your imagination to be able to see how your idea is going to look in, as a prototype, or the kind of vision that you have for your idea. It can be a very, very simple line, stick figure, anything, but it sort of immediately takes the attention of your eyes in a group of ideas when you put it up in a wall. So this is how a typical ideation wall looks like, and you should aim for something like this. And you can use different colors posted to, sort of identify whose ideas are in what color, but it really doesn't matter, because in the end, you'll be putting them in clusters according to different themes, okay?
fun. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Take you to the other presentation. One second. So this was one round of normal ideation. From here, you move on to something which we call as childlike ideation. So what is childlike ideation? I'll tell you something from my own personal experience. I think I might have shared with some of your seniors, and some of you might have heard it, but this is absolutely true. So I might have repeated it because it is true. Children have often the most novel and simplistic, simple way of looking at things. So there was this one time where my mother-in-law and I were trying out bangles of different colors for a wedding in the family. And my daughter, she was all of 1.5 at that time. So she wanted to try those bangles. So these were glass bangles. So we got her another set, which we had already kept from Diwali. So these were plastic bangles, or I think, yeah, they were plastic bangles. And we put it on her, wrist. And she tried it out, but she didn't quite like it because she did not have the kind of flexibility that bigger bangles had. She could put it on and take it off herself. And she got bored with the bangles because obviously she was not able to play with them like she was able to play with the bigger bangles. So she kept asking for us for the glass bangles, which were bigger in size. And we kept, eluding it कि हाँ चलो बाद में देखते हैं थोड़ी देर अच्छा let's do something else and then we'll come back to this, obviously because we didn't want her to break the glass or it to hurt her. And this happened. This was on a day, and I think 1 or 2 days after that I noticed her that she brings a rubber band, a tie that you used to tie your hair, girls used to tie their hair, and she puts it on her one of her wrists, and in the other wrist she's wearing a sellotape band, a big sellotape band. She's put it on her wrist, and she comes to us and she's like, "Chodi, chodi," and both of us. It took us a while to understand because she was not speaking very clearly, and then I thought that, oh, what a brilliant way. We didn't give it to her, so she created something of her own. She got a rubber band on one hand and she got a sellotape roll for the other, and which she could easily take in and out like she wanted to do. So children have a very novel way of looking at things, and they can look at solutions which rarely adults can create. That is why it is important to get into a child's mind, that kind of a mindset when you ideate like a child, and forget the limitations that you tend to think of as an adult. Children also have one more important quality that they don't necessarily try to do everything on their own. Whenever they feel that they can't do something, they immediately ask an adult, or pester them, or somehow get them to do the task for them. So, which is also another important learning for us, that if at some point in time you feel that this a part of the solution or a part of your prototype cannot be done, maybe it is time to bring in an external agency, change the route, use something else which is more doable, or you can get somebody who's a professional to help you over there. So this is where childlike ideation helps a lot. An example from this would be, I'll show another video to you. Okay. One second.
बजी उठी टन टन चल दिए बंधन टांग गले में अपना बस्ता बजी उठी टन टन चल दिए बंधन टांग गले में अपना बस्ता हंसी खुशी में कट गया रास्ता मन लगा के करी पढ़ाई खेल कूदे लड़ी लड़ाई अब कर लो मिली छोड़ो लड्डी आज खाने की छुट्टी खाने में गुद गुद खुशबू की गुद गुद बरस रहे हो रगड़ के झाग बनाए गुब्बारे उड़ाए और को धोके सारे आए फिर मिल के खाए मिल के गाए फिर मिल के खाए मिल के गाए
Yes. So a rather brilliant idea, I would say, because it is very simple, very low cost, and also appeals to the children in a language that they understand, in something which is appealing. In fact, even as an adult, if you see something like a rocking horse in an area where you have to wash hands, it is full of amusement and excitement for everyone. And imagine the plight of these kids, because sometimes these midday meals are the only meals that they get to have throughout the day. So obviously, the excitement and the craving for this meal is much, much higher. And at that point of time, to remind the children to go and wash their hands, that simple hand washing activity is so difficult to persuade them. So it was really, really needed uh, for an idea to make the children happy, excite them, and in fact excite them enough to take the attention away from the food for a moment, and taking turns in hand washing, so that all of them can safely and in a healthy manner enjoy their meals. So this is what I meant by childlike ideation, and brilliant example. And when you get into the childlike ideation mode, you need to think for solutions like this. All right. So we discussed about childlike ideation. Next, when we go into this superpower ideation, typically children or students are rather very excited about this, because it is very limitless in terms of possibilities. So you can be anything, you can do anything, you can have any kind of power. Sometimes students also get very carried away and model themselves as their favorite superheroes or superheroines, and completely forget about the challenge that we are dealing with right now. So let's not do that. Your superpower during this ideation phase needs to be relevant to the problem that you're trying to solve. So say, for example, if the problem that you're trying to solve is of infection through hands, or so, then your superpower has to be something related to hand washing only, or how you can get people to keep their hands clean. If your problem is about online teaching or making it more interesting, then your superpower will be something to do with, attracting the attention span of students during, an online class. So your superpower has to be in tandem or in sync with the problem or the problem statement that you're trying to solve. And again, that it has endless possibilities. Sometimes you can come up with totally bizarre and very very crazy ideas, but it's okay. Let them flourish. Think about them freely, and let them at least see the light of the day before completely discarding them. So this is also a very very interesting prompt for ideation. Next, that we go is for zero budget ideation. Now you may seem that this is completely uninteresting, and suddenly we had so many superpowers और अब सब कुछ छीन लिया, कुछ नहीं है, पैसे भी नहीं है, and zero budget में ideate कर रहे हैं. तो ये थोड़ा बुरा लग सकता है, but reality ऐसी ही होती है. Most of the time you are ideating on the problem that you're trying to solve, especially in a developing country like ours, and we are experts in jugaad. So we can do miracles on a zero budget. So this is our strength as Indians or people from the Indian subcontinent. This is something that we excel. This is unique to us. So most relevant ideas, most practical ideas, and most doable ideas will come from this ideation technique. So you pay a lot of attention to your zero budget ideation, and in order to understand how something so small and low cost can bring about such drastic change, I wanted to show you something. Just a minute. An example of a zero budget or a low budget ideation. One second.
Oil saved. A country devoid of oil. Seoul, a city where 1/4 of Koreans live, with one of the world's highest gasoline consumption. The situation is getting worse. Car usage is increasing. Petroleum costs are rising. Parking spaces are scarce. People are stressed out. Every day, a Seoul driver wanders 500 meters to find a parking space. In a month, this equals 15 kilometers or 1 liter of gas. S-Oil, one of the 4 oil companies in Korea, took action. It is on a mission to save oil. Right here, right now. Thus begins the HERE campaign. It has set up a HERE balloon for each parking space. As a car parks in it, the balloon falls. When the car exits, the balloon rises. Cars can spot these balloons from afar. They can spot open parking spaces without wandering. Finding quick parking means saving oil. One easily spotted parking spot is worth 1 liter of oil saved.
고육했을 때 엄마들 저것만큼 경제적인 게 없다고
딱 1리터가 있으니까 참 뭐 좋은 아이디어 같아요.
세차장에서 한번 달니까 신기해서
무서웠었으면 못 들어보는.
HERE balloons have saved drivers' gas expenses through a new and interesting method. S-Oil, the oil seller, gained the impression of an oil-saving company. Save oil, save time, save money. here, taking action for a better world. Save oil, save Earth, S-Oil.
Right. So pretty interesting, right? How a low cost and very simple ideation can, help you do something so dramatic and so helpful for others. And this is a problem with, I think, most places, even in maximum parking lots, in multiplexes, in malls. It's a very, very common problem, but what a brilliant solution to, execute and, follow through. So this is where magic happens, I would like to say. So zero budget ideation, that is for you all. And after this, you go on to something which is called a, one second, I think I forgot to put the slide over here, but it is of unlimited budget ideation, that where you can have any amount of money and resources at your disposal, and you can do anything with that resources. And that is where typically you put in all your wacky, crazy idea, getting people airlifted, flying to do something. So it's also a very, very interesting prompt for. So one is your normal ideation, regular ideation. Second is childlike. Third is your superpower. Then the zero budget, and fifth will be your unlimited budget. So all these 5 ideation prompts can greatly help you create a very diverse, very diverse set of ideas. And after you have finished this, entire process of ideation, is when you are sitting on a bucket of nearly 50 to 60 ideas, and you what to do after that. That is something even more important. Now, I wanted to share with you why crazy or, so to say, bizarre or air castle like ideas are also very important. So this is about Canada, and this case study is about from Canada. And in the early winter months, these people, the local municipal people, they got together in a room because power lines or electrical wires were getting covered in snow, and due to that there were frequent power cuts in many parts of Canada and Northern America. So the linemen, the local mayor, the local civic bodies, and even residents from the society, they got into a room, they were brought in together, and there was one person who was acting as a facilitator, not because he was superior in rank, but it was chosen just because he had brilliant communication skills, and was easily able to get people to engage in a conversation. So this person said, okay, fine, this is a genuine problem, and our kids' education and normal working hours, everything is getting very affected by this. So what do you think we should do to remove the snow from the electrical cables without causing damage to life and property? So, one of the linemen, he said that, the places sometimes, or even the poles, are so inaccessible. We cannot even reach near the poles. We are so, sunken in the ice or snow that we cannot even reach the poles. So how are we supposed to remove the snow? And people were getting different kinds of ideas, how you can mechanically, have those some kind of a rotating or vibrating poles which you can press a button and it'll shake and suddenly the snow will fall. And different kind of ideas were coming. So they said, okay, fine, this will be reaching a dead end, and this conversation is not going anywhere. Let's take a break for 10 minutes, have some tea, coffee, whatever, and then come back into this room. So during that 10-minute break, one of the respondents said that, this is, it's inhuman working conditions. How can you expect a lineman or an electrician to go somewhere near that pole? They should rather have polar bear. You need a polar bear skin to, climb a pole like that and solve this problem. So the facilitator was a very observant person. He heard this polar bear remark, and when the people got back into the room, he said, "Please be with me, humor this idea, and let's build on it." And because somebody said that you need polar bear like skin and numbness in your skin to be able to achieve this task. So, do you think we should get a polar bear to do this task? And in the beginning there was huge laughter, and everybody was completely shaken by the what a stupid idea are we discussing. Even how can we get a bear to clear the lines and remove the snow? But the facilitator somehow convinced them to at least be with me on this line of thought for some time. So the people said, okay, fine. So there was this one person who said that I've worked in the rangers and forest rangers, and I've seen that it is easy to train the animals if you have some kind of incentive or some kind of what should I say, a carrot to show to the rabbit. So in this case, if you want the bear to do something, you should put some honey loops on some, maybe these poles, so that the bears get attracted and they can climb on the poles, or at least reach the bottom of the pole and shake it. So the facilitator said, very good, that we should probably get these honey loops and near the poles. So the other person, they said, one of the people, that if it is impossible for us to reach the pole ourselves, then how are we expected to put these honey loops? How do we put these loops on these poles? So another person said that what we should do is, when the season of snowing is about to begin, even before the onset, when the weather is more favorable, we should put these honey loops, so that later we can get the polar bear to shake the poles and get the honey, climb the pole and get the honey. Another person said that why will the polar bears wait till the winter months to come and shake the pole? They will have it in the favorable weather themselves. Why will they wait all that long? So you have to put the honey loops on the poles at a time when you actually want them to come and shake the pole, which is in the time of excessive snowing. And another person said that I've worked in disaster relief, so I think that what we should do is that we could get one of the choppers, and we can, how you in rescue missions you drop packets of food. In that similar manner, we can drop these honey loops on each pole. And just when the discussion was going on, one of the people from the audience got up and said that, Eureka, I've cracked it, how we can, solve this. And everybody started looking at them. So the facilitator said that, what do you have? So he said that we will not need the polar bears and the honey loops at all, because whenever you fly, I have flown these helicopters, and whenever you fly them, there is such amount of vibration and friction, there's that the rotation causes, that the pole itself will shed off all the snow. And everybody thought, wow, what a brilliant way. And the facilitator clapped and everybody rejoiced, and they actually went ahead, and that is how snow is removed from these electrical cables during the winter months, even today, just because in one room full of different set of people, a facilitator was wise enough to humor the idea of polar bears and honey loops, and people reached this solution. So do you understand how much potential a crazy or a seemingly unachievable idea can have? That is why I was saying that please at least uh, give some importance to these ideas also. And when you get to the prototyping stage, you should at least have one prototype built out of these crazy ideas. All right, Priya and Abhijit, are you with me? Making sense? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this was all about your ideation technique. Now I wanted to tell you, like some people were asking, had posed question yesterday that, how do you decide what do you want to work on and how do you develop an idea? So I looked for this video online and found this very interesting video from IDEO again, which talks about the story of design, any design.
That is the most complicated question. What is IDEO?
IDEO looks like a very serious design company. Behind the scenes, it's kind of like Oompa Loompa, Willy Wonka playland.
There is this amazing power of wide-eyed curiosity. What is it that the world needs or that person needs?
It's hard to imagine a facet of life where we're not being asked some kind of interesting question.
How might government be more responsive to its citizens?
What is teaching and learning in the 21st century?
How do we think about accessibility?
Make healthcare more seamless.
Design the future of self-driving experiences.
Change the demographic for voting in a county that has 5 million voters speaking 30 different languages.
Provide access to justice to all the people who can't afford lawyers.
Create products that actually add value to people's lives rather than becoming another distraction.
IDEO is uniquely equipped to come into those kinds of big, messy, complex problems.
I think we're teachers offering on the edge of really getting into some great.
There's a lot of Davids in this company, just so you know. After I met Bill, we decided to merge our firms and make IDEO.
That was a long time ago.
So before we merged, the designers would come up with some beautiful stuff, and the engineers would want to compromise all the interesting bits away to make it more manufacturable. Turns out it was actually a big idea for us to come up with something that was well-designed and well-engineered, and then present that to the client. See their eyes sparkle. That's when we knew we really added something of consequence.
At IDEO, there was a different approach. It was designers and engineers working together.
We would go in to see the CEO, and he or she would say, you know, you say you want to design our new chair, let's say. Tell us about other chairs you've designed, right? And I didn't have the heart to tell them that not only hadn't we designed any chairs, we hadn't designed anything, but we have this process that'll probably result in a different kind of chair than if you hired a chair designer to do it. That was the pitch.
So, sorry to interrupt you here. This is one very interesting approach that you can get from a design thinking bent of mind. That, you know, whenever this question is posted in front of me, or any people who I've seen practice design thinking, that you need to question the larger problem itself. That what are you looking for? Do you want to design a chair? Or do you want something where people can sit and rest on? And these two are very different things, because the other one opens a whole lot of opportunities and ideas rather than just a four-legged creature. So that is what you have to open your imagination to.
I had a background in psychology. Gosh, it seems like we know or should be learning quite a lot about people. Couldn't we therefore be designing better stuff if we incorporated some of that knowledge into some of the decisions that we were making?
Common sense would say, well, instead of just designing it by yourself in a room with a bunch of other engineers, maybe you should go out and talk to people that you're designing for.
You know, from business school and every quarter of any institution I'd ever worked for, there's a real premium on knowing. And people would actually carry around books of what they know. And at IDEO, it was just okay to say, I don't know, let's find out.
It's our job to always question everything and always ask why. Why is that? Why do you do that?
We go out into the world.
So again, the people at IDEO were pioneers, because these are the people, let me tell you, behind the success of the Apple mouse, to GE, you know, MRI machines, to NASA's equipment, to designing ballpoint tips, to, you know, gravity-free writing equipment, and anything that you can possibly think of, they must have designed anything in that domain. So it's not like they have hired people who know about all these domains, but what is more important is that they're very thorough with their process. And it is okay to not know, but you must have that fire in your belly and the desire to sit with the people for whom you're solving the problem and know it through them with fresh eyes, because that is why I was saying that you need to have diversity in your group, because in this group people have there is no prerequisite for applying to a job at IDEO. In fact, you don't even need a degree in design. They test completely different skills. The more diverse, the better. There was another video that I was going through of IDEO online, and the person who was a facilitator in most of their brainstorming sessions was a biologist. Another person was a marine engineer. So very, very different people get together in a room and bring in very new ideas and new understanding from their own field. And that is what is unique to the design thinking process, that you don't need to know it all, but you need to have the appetite and the vulnerability to say that I don't know, but I am willing to learn from you.
We talk to people, we sit in their homes, we have conversations with people, we ask for their ideas.
We would come back from the field informed and inspired by some of the things we'd seen.
And use our tools and education and expertise and intuition to create a solution for you.
Because people would say, oh, I'm stupid, I can't figure out how to use this thing. We said, no, it's poorly designed. We'll make it so that it's intuitive. And then you don't have to have this disconnect between the human and the technology part. Designing a reading machine for blind people, or computers that were going to figure out whether this was a tissue match between two people getting a heart transplant. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we're working on. Design a mouse or design a laptop. What's that? I mean, we get to determine what this thing is from scratch.
There's an inquisitive approach that doesn't say, what do I as a creative person want to put out into the world? What does the world need? What's the world asking of us? And then how can we use design to help bring that to life?
The culture of how you go about innovation and design is as important as the process.
Design, for me, has never been an individual sport, it's always been a team sport. How could I possibly have all the good ideas? What we found is that when we brought these people in from different disciplines, they just had ideas that resonated.
People coming together in different areas of expertise.
Fluidly working together and provoking each other to do a little bit better.
Constantly entertaining ourselves by adding new disciplines to the mix and activating them as designers.
Musicians jam together. You walk into a project space, it's the same kind of energy.
The Nightline shopping cart video in 1999 still amazes me. The number of people that come up to me and say, oh, I saw it in my class. You saw it in your business school class in 1999? No, last week.
Take something old and familiar, like, say, the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days.
A whole object, really, a shopping cart that everybody could relate to.
It was long enough to show how we actually behaved together and how individuals contributed and how the group worked.
Oh, that's what happens. Everything gets designed, and there are people who do that, and that looks exciting.
It seemed to be an example of how you could be more effective as innovators. So I think that was actually the most important thing.
There was nothing in that show that said, you need design. People filled in that space.
We got a call from the director of the emergency room at DePaul, who said, if you can do that for the shopping cart, you can do that for my emergency room. And so we did. This was a surprise to us in terms of how far it could go, and it really unlocked the diversification that we saw with the rise of design.
Once we stepped over that line and we were comfortable with that, we just kept going. All of a sudden, businesses that have been happy, kind of trundling along for decades, found themselves having to innovate.
So there was this recognition that the world of business really wasn't equipped to grow in this way, and that the smart organizations cultivate that and invest in it. Help me get better at creating more options for my customers so that I can grow the top line of my company.
Design thinking gave us a way of explaining what design was to people who didn't understand it.
It's actually not anything IDEO invented.
The only thing that we did was try to make it a bit more explicit.
Here's how we understand the market and the people. Here's how we interview people to understand what they'd like. And here's how we prototype.
It empowers people to get their ideas out and to share them. It's just a way to start.
Being willing to have 100 sketches on the floor that didn't work before you find the one that does.
We test those out, we see what works, and we refine those. From ambiguity to clarity to refinement to either launch or implementation. It holds the space for us to be sort of ambiguous and messy, knowing that you're moving in a certain direction.
This is a key word over here, ambiguity. And specifically, if you go back to the mention that I had made to you of wicked problems, especially like the COVID-19, and believe me when I'm saying that COVID-19 has given us so much scope for innovation. I know it's a terrible thing that has happened to humanity, but it has really, really pushed us to think out of the box, do so many things that, only emergency or the most difficult of situations can push you like that, create something so novel. So it is the dictionary definition of a wicked problem. And these are the problems where you typically would need a lot of design thinking, because there is a lot of ambiguity, that you don't have clarity about the information that is coming in, how true or untrue it is, and the level of correctness. So you need to get comfortable with that. And that is also in relation to what I said when I told you about not knowing and saying and accepting it, that I don't know, but I'm willing to learn and experience it so that I can create something better, something of better value.
It's going to lead to the outcomes you're looking for.
Creating the conditions for innovation to happen over and over again.
By having a methodology that we could teach, that we could share, where we could have clients come and work with us in the project room instead of just waiting for us to turn up with the deliverables, made it possible for them to begin to soak up that capability.
It doesn't just sit within IDEO. This is something that we've actually brought to a lot of our client partners and then help them grow within their own organization.
It's good for business to let creativity out of the cage and let it run down the corridors.
All we've done over the years is figured out how to scale it, how to make it more accessible. By embracing design thinking, we were able to start to find ourselves in those types of conversations that were far more impactful for society.
The world is at a difficult place right now. If you look at communication, politics, society, the environment, there's a fundamental or an inherent lack of creativity in trying to answer these questions.
In a moment where there's so much disruption and upheaval, being able to sit in that space and guide others through the ambiguity is incredibly valuable.
Not trying to know the answer at the start of the process is something that is very fundamental to design.
We bring our creative lens, imagining how we can make that world better. I'm careful about words like solution or the answer because these are people-based systems.
The important part about tackling big questions like that is trying to understand the context in which they sit. It's not just about going to someone's house and spending an hour anymore. The best way to do that is to start with co-design instead of going to those people to learn from them, actually bring them in to the process.
Not just clients and organisations we're designing for, but the people that it's going to affect in communities, governments, organisations and partners that can help us implement.
The larger the scale gets, the easier it is to forget about the people in the system.
The people in that community are shaping the decisions that they're making. So we had to shift away from being the ones to decide to being the ones who facilitated others to get to that decision, so that their voice is the design solution.
That's the only way you can go after these big, complex problems.
We have helped elevate design up to being one of the ways in which humanity improves itself and improves its condition. We've had a series of these clients over the years that have helped expand our minds. Carlos Rodriguez Pastor, who's the CEO of Intercorp, he came and said, I want to redesign schools in Peru. sure we would have ever gone to somebody and say, hey, please let us.
Idea's going to go where people ask us.
The problems we're being asked to help solve are far beyond what we could have imagined 4 decades ago.
If the whole world thinks all designers do is something decorative, they're not going to come to you and say, hey, we actually have a serious issue of sexual harassment on our university campus. Can design play a part in helping us solve that? And not through just putting up more compliance posters, but actually asking, how do people relate to each other? What is the culture? What should be changed? Design can help answer that.
Today, we're thinking about design as an opportunity to reimagine the world, the objects, the institutions that help to reinforce the ways that people relate to each other.
Redesigning entire systems that affect our societies.
How do we design a system of re-entry for people who have been incarcerated?
Make saving money more fun.
Help make Judaism fit into people's lives.
Help successful companies of the past be thriving companies of the future.
Redesign our idea of classic beauty.
Create a welcoming and secure environment for immigrants.
To a certain extent, the first response has to be, where do we start? If it was that easy, somebody else would have done it.
Literally, the hairs will stand up on the back of my neck when I know we're at the edge of everybody's ability.
You're on a lake and the fog drops down and you are rowing and the client is freaking out because you know you're going to hit land, but the client thinks, oh my God, they're rowing us into the middle of oblivion. We're in the business of sort of navigating the fog and helping clients not jump out of the boat. Thank you. Thanks.
Priya, I think you could have told this to me a little earlier also, because I think most of the video, if it was echoing, you might have had that problem. So my bad. I think from tomorrow, I'll keep that in mind. And I hope it made sense to you when I'm...
Yes, ma'am, it makes sense. That was just a little echo.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was this power change, so I think Yes, so this was about ideation. I think I've let you understand all the techniques and prompts that I wanted to share with you. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is that, see how, once you've created a bucket of ideas, how do you take it from an idea to a concept or a prototype? How do you build on that? What prototyping is, the kind of value that it adds to the process of design and product building, product development, so to say. So that is the next step of our process. I really hope whatever I had to share today made sense to you, and these prompts stay with you so that you can revisit them next time whenever you're taking upon any project. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.